This is Michaela McLean, and you're listening to Beauty by Design. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for being here. It is time to talk about our next gate. We are slowly but surely approaching the end of the spleen gate run. Thank goodness, right? Before we get into it, of course, just reminding you, if you have not yet, make sure that you download my free guide to human design basics. Takes you through, a little nugget on all the types and the details, and then it's going to lead you to the correct $11 1 hour or a type masterclass where I cover everything: type, strategy, authority, not self, signature, deconditioning tips. It is obviously me, going through everything, but you get like a whole PowerPoint with it, so people that benefit from visuals and seeing specific words and things, it's so good. And so it covers everything that you're going to need to know to begin your experiment and actually understand it in one place rather than like a single slide, on Instagram. Like, I'm a generator. Okay, what does that even mean? So it really takes you where you want to go. And then of course I've got my energetic beauty sleep, the yoga nidras for each of the type and authority combinations. So all the different ones that are going to help you bypass the conscious mind, get all the beauty benefits, the health benefits of yoga nidra, and basically start to integrate all of this human design basics, the things that you really need to have in your cells and start living from rather than just your mind. So really powerful stuff. I'm working on some new things right now too, kind of getting clarity on a lot of things. I think that's what I'm using eclipse season to do, but uh yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. And some really cool launches I just want to mention as well, coming from Little Fox in the very near future, as in next week, and then some more stuff coming probably a few weeks after that. So I just always like, watch this space. I'll have some really cool things to share with you. Anyway, let's get on to the episode, of course. You can find all the links to everything in the show notes or my Instagram bio at Michaela McLean if you're not following me already over there. I just keep you up to date on all the good stuff as well, kind of in a different format. So it's worth checking out. Okay, so reminder, my disclaimer, as always, don't try to understand this at the mental level, just like I was saying with the Yoga Nidra. Letting it bypass, the thinking mind. Just let all this information, let the sound current, the energy, the frequency, the vibration of beauty sink into your cells like good skincare. Okay, so we are continuing to progress through Scorpio season into gate 28. And I might add, probably the most Scorpio of all the Scorpio gates. And this is located in the human design, the spleen center, and it's part of the individual knowing circuitry. So people with individual circuitry have a deep inner knowing that they are here to be true to themselves. They're the ones that lead to mutation, evolution, positive change in this world. Individual circuitry is all about the keynote of empowerment. And starting with the center, I always say our spleen is our inner caveman or wild animal. It is our survival awareness center. And like all of the awareness centers in its low expression is about fears and anxieties. And of course, with the spleen, it's about primal fears, just staying alive. But in its elevated expression, it governs instinct and intuition. It's not logical or sensical. It's intuitive instincts. I can't stress that enough. It's existential. It's just about what feels good, what feels safe. And it is the oldest center in the body graph. So truly, again, just, just like what's the oldest, need? It's just to stay alive. So this and it particularly, the spleen itself, it's awareness in the moment, this moment. Physically, it correlates to the lymphatic and the immune systems. So 28 is known as the preponderance of the great. It's the gate of the game player. And the keynote here is the fear of death, purpose. It's the awareness to struggle for purpose or not, and not taking risks out of fear. Fear that life has no purpose unless you take risks. So it goes both ways, right? So this is known, one of its nicknames is the risk taker. And kind of in a nutshell, it's like, what's the point of all of this struggle in life? So 28, as I said, it's known as the gate of the game player, as in the game of life. This is an energy that loves to take risks simply to feel the rush of being alive, in theory, of course. In its low expression, 28 is living in fear of time running out, AKA death, right? It's Scorpio, for goodness sakes. Of course. This energy wants to know what makes life worth living, right? It's like, it's total Scorpio Grim Reaper vibes. Um, and I always think this is like Rebel Without a Cause, Russian roulette vibe, very punk rock, live fast, die young, classic bad boy, living on the edge, seeking that adrenaline rush. And if you look at it, you look at the body graph, anytime you are looking at a gate, always look at what it connects to. This one is reaching for the root. It's reaching for adrenaline. Okay. That root, the root center, which we'll talk about in a while, of course, because it's its channel partner, but it's like there's the adrenal glands. I think of this as like nihilism too. Like literally there's no point to any of this. Like that feeling of maybe somebody with a 28 would have. And it's definitely a marker of unnecessary battles, like those people who potentially make life harder on themselves than it needs to be. Like, you know what I mean? You watch the struggle and you're like, why are you doing that to yourself? Conversely, it could be an extremely like having an extreme fear of death and avoiding any risk at all cost. The high expression is finding meaning and not wasting what precious time we've been given here on earth on things that don't matter. These people, a gate 28 person, is going to be hyper aware that the clock is always ticking. So they don't want to squander a single second. 28 wants to truly make the most of life by being tuned into the spleen's instinctual awareness. It will know which are the correct boundaries to push or the risks to take to experience this life to the max. It's also the mark of incredible intuitive timing in a person. So I see it as the archetype of the shadow worker, someone who isn't afraid to confront the scary, the taboo, the darker side of life. These people are alchemists, again, with that Scorpio vibe, right? There's just this natural understanding how to transmute pain into purpose. So people with 28 are predisposed to struggle. If you have it in your chart, it's just a marker of it. So if you're following your strategy and authority, you will at least be struggling for the correct things, the things you're designed to struggle for, right? And the correct struggle will help you find purpose. It will help you discover meaning. Seeing challenges as gifts, welcoming them, embracing them, that is the true gift of the gate 28. These are those people that I think of, might say, "Oh, it was so difficult, it was so hard, but it was so worth it," And then they wouldn't change a thing about their struggle. Like, that's a 28 person who's using it correctly. Okay, so in the gene keys, the shadow of this one is purposelessness, the gift is totality, and the city is immortality. Okay, so Richard Rudd says, in following your true purpose, you unlock the manifesting power of your specific gifts. However, there are forces in the world that directly challenge your ability to find your purpose, much less follow it. The 28th shadow of purposelessness represents your potential nemesis in this regard because it can ensure that you either never find your purpose or you never follow it through. This shadow cuts to the core of the deepest of all human fears, the fear of death. All fears can be reduced to this one fear. It is the fear of being extinguished, the prime emanation of human fear. The fact of death leads directly to the question of the purpose of an individual's life. The prime purpose at this physical level is to maintain your health for as long as possible, but there is another core purpose built into us to evolve. For a human being, evolution means creative uniqueness. We are each born with a creative purpose that no other human being carries. If you are to release your true creativity into the world, you must meet your own dark side. In other words, you must at some point face your deepest fear of death. You must look deeply into your fears now in order to find your purpose, because your purpose actually lies within your fears. This is why in the great mystical traditions, it is said that you must die before you can live. The theme of purposelessness is really a contemporary theme that has become more and more pronounced as humanity has learned to master the material world. Survival gives you a powerful purpose. In the West, we no longer fear our survival because we've created a society that supports everyone at a collective level. Almost no one in a wealthy, advanced country will die of starvation. Because of this, our fear has shifted to the fear of purposelessness. Now, instead of being afraid to die, people are more afraid to live. The fear of not finding your purpose is still really a dressed up fear of death. The majority of people do not even want to think about whether they are fulfilling their true purpose or not, because to do so is to look right into their deepest fears. People are afraid to appear selfish and follow their dreams, even though those dreams, if they are true dreams, will be of far greater service to the planet than anything else they do. And he goes on and talks about fears and frequencies and vibrations again, right? Gene Keys pulled from human design. So this is acoustic, it's auditory. We're going to get to that in a minute. So he says the true shaman or therapist also knows that he or she can never take away another person's fears. He or she can only help the person identify those fears so that they can be accepted. Wholeness comes about as all your deepest fears are embraced. Thus, it is said that the only way to kill a demon is to absorb it into the light inside yourself. When you meet life through the gift of totality, you meet life as a game to be played or a stage on which to act. This is life lived as a romance that includes both comedy and tragedy. There is a deep sense of thrill that comes as you progressively face your inner demons. Your demons, as we have learned, are really your angels in disguise. A moment's pause for that. That's just incredible. Your demons, as we have learned, are really your angels in disguise. Wow. Every situation in your life is devised as a form of initiation that allows you either to remain as you are or to evolve. At the individual level, this gift gives you a profound sense of freedom, even when external forces appear to obstruct, challenge, or entrap you. On the inner planes, totality gives itself to every situation, allowing the game to play itself out with no expectation, but with absolute conviction. When lived in this intuitive way, life shows you that it has an underlying purpose in everything that it brings you. You simply have to align yourself to the dramatic plot line as it unwinds before you. People aligned with the 28th gift have a wonderful knack of handling adversity lightly. The more deeply they accept each feeling of fear that comes, the lighter they grow and the more love they feel towards life. Okay, so notes here. This is part of a projected channel. So, of course, projector rules apply, seen, recognized, and invited. You have to be invited by life into the struggle. You know, that's the way you're going to know it's the correct one for you. Otherwise, it is going to feel purposeless, right? There's no point to a struggle that you create with your mind. It's like let life serve it up and then you go meet it and conquer it. And of course, like invited to share your knowing that you will, inevitably have from having this particular energy in your chart. So it's extra sensory gift. Of course, we've been talking about this, but it's clairaudient. It is individual. So anything individual and the individual circuitry in the chart is always highly attuned to sound and vibration, right? Richard Rudd touches on that. I mentioned clear timing. That's a gift of this one. And this is fight or flight, right? It's like the spleen. And this is definitely connected to the listening aspect. It's like all of those spleen gates have some sort of special intuitive gift, some special instinct. And this one is definitely like, I heard something, right? Individual, always, like I said, always about the auditory, the acoustics. And if you follow this one up, the next individual one that's like above it is 57, right? 57 is the right ear. So we're in that same stream, right? So I think about this. It's like music, beautiful words, individual circuitry is both moody and melancholic. It's the muse. When she's here, when she's not. It's also about mutation, changing others, helping them evolve. And the struggle of all individual circuitry, again, this goes for any individual gate, but especially this one, is the difficulty in finding the words to explain one's inner knowing. There's an inner loneliness as well to individual circuitry. myself being a pure individual, I would know that. But like that's how you mutate or help evolve others. So lots of music with this one. So much music I think of. And I've referenced it in the past, different ones where I laugh and I'm like, oh, Gate 28 wrote that song or wrote that song. And you can just hear it in the lyrics. Um, but one of the things I haven't mentioned in the past, I was like, just certain things will pop into your head, at different times. Um, and I was like, oh, James Bond. If you don't know, I'm like lifelong since I was teeny tiny, just James Bond fan. Love him, love it so much. My husband's actually related to Sean Connery, weirdly enough. But there is from one of the movies, one when it's still Sean Connery, You Only Live Twice. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so this, right? And so I was like doing a little research, and there's an Ian Fleming who wrote James Bond. He wrote this haiku, and it was you only live twice, once when you're born and once when you look death in the face. And I'm like, we need to find Ian Fleming's chart. I bet he had it. And then even like the lyrics for the theme song for that one that Nancy Sinatra sang. Those are always like my favorite ones, the Connery ones from the 60s. But the beginning lyrics of it is, it's you only live twice, or so it seems. One life for yourself and one for your dreams. So again, from the same movie that we were just referencing. And funnily enough, like the internet is always in agreement that James Bond is definitely a Scorpio. So I'm like, I feel like Bond is like the Gate 28 archetype as well. Okay, so another interesting note about 28 is that it is one of the love gates, but it's a mundane love gate. It's not one of the transcendent love gates that exist in the G center that, just kind of go beyond time and space and all of that stuff. That's my vibe. This is a mundane love gate. So this is about finding the purpose of life or in life through love with others, and basically freeing yourself from fear when you finally discover that that is the purpose. It's like to engage with other people and, have love in whatever way, whether that's, romantic or familial or, friendships and things. It's like, oh my gosh, okay. This makes all the sense in the world. So, basically it's like an individual again, right? Living as themselves, and then another person living as themselves, and you finding in love and all of that, like coming together. And it's like the mess, the words and all, it's like, I'm not trying to change you or you change me. I'm like, I'm supposed to live as my authentic self and vice versa. And, like realizing, wow, love is it, like love is the purpose of life. Boom, mic drop, Um, okay, and so then also, right, this one on a physical level, these people are going to do well when they're processing this energy through some sort of, physical medicine, physical movement, whatever that is. It's like you're really trying to give yourself like healthy stress, essentially, versus modern day stress. Like Richard was talking about, it's like we used to have the pressure of just like survival, and now we don't have that. And now it's like the purpose piece. So go work out, go move your body. Yeah. So I always think this one is so interesting with, the eighth house, like Scorpio, excuse me, the Scorpio connection, the eighth house, which is all about infinity, immortality, transmuting, like I said, pain into purpose, or if this is the pressure, the fear of not having purpose. Um, just so much, so many connections, so many cool things. And yeah, it's just that infinite energy. It's so, I don't know, it just fascinates me how some of these, um the way that they really intersect with their gates, and this being like the Siddhic state in the gene keys is immortality. And that's kind of the idea, like with Scorpio, is that um whenever I would do sessions, I'm like, well, this is only the eighth sign out of 12. And that eight is really a lemniscate. If you turn it on its side, that's the symbol for infinity, is like energy is infinite. Um, if you're familiar with, like Abraham Hicks, and they always talk about transitioning to non-physical energy. And you're like, oh yeah, because like, you're always there. Like the energy, what does Einstein say? It can't be created or destroyed. It just changes from one form into another. So you might no longer be in your physical body, but like when people pass away and stuff, and Scorpio is so connected to that stuff, like so connected. It's just fascinates me. Anyway, lots to explore there if this all interests you. But yeah, energy is eternal, and therefore, like, love is eternal. Oh, I don't want to get emotional. Okay, so the programming partner, of course, Sun is in Scorpio right now in 28. Earth is automatically opposite in Taurus, gate 27. 27 is known as nourishment. It's the gate of caring. And this one is all about taking care of others. It's a tribal energy. So it's taking care of the offspring of the tribe, basically nourishes and protects for survival. So definitely one that's like, don't pour from an empty cup. You need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself first, having healthy boundaries, and of course, using your strategy and authority, like always, to make sure that you're knowing you're engaging with exactly who and what you're meant to be caring for. Because this is a very altruistic energy and it wants to make sure that everyone is cared for in all the ways, educated, fed, clothed, feels valued, all of that, because 27 is really responsible to help continue the species. So you just have to take care of yourself first and be able to take care of others. And then the gate that completes the channel is Capricorn gate 38, forming the channel of struggle. And 38 is known as opposition. It's the gate of the fighter. And this is pressure to find or struggle for purpose in life. So this one wants to know the value of life, what is worth fighting for and what is not. It's here to empower others through its being, but again, it's not designed to listen to or be influenced by others. That's really important with this particular gate. 38 again can struggle just for the sake of it, right? Picking fights, butting heads, being aggressive, combative, destructive. It is a stubborn energy. And again, just watching these people like, why do you have to make things so hard on yourself? But the beautiful side of this one is that a 38 is going to know that we're not here for a meaningless existence. We are here to not just survive, we're here to thrive, and finding the things in life worth funneling that energy into. It goes from stubbornness to perseverance, and it has this Teflon coating to life's obstacles. And this ability to stand up for others, people that it cares about. It's going to do what it feels is right. And so this one kind of circle back and talk again about the individual and the auditory, the acoustics. This is one of the gates of deafness. So it's very much about tuning out the noise, tuning out what everybody else is saying, their doubts, their negativity. I always say that there's three gates that are the gates of deafness. And I'm like, they're energetic earplugs. You can't see them, but they're there. It's like, I'm not listening to you. And it's not even on purpose. It's just like, it's part of their design to not hear everybody else's BS. So 38, right? Now we have the pressurized adrenaline energy of the root center fighting its way up to connect with the intuitive instincts of the spleen to get that correct timing. Okay, so we've got the energy and the fuel to struggle, plus the awareness to struggle. So when the two come together to form the channel of struggle, how many times have we said that word in this episode? It's about fighting against feeling a lack of purpose, finding something in life worth standing up for before the clock runs out. Again, all individual circuitry is here to empower others, to encourage change and mutation just by living as its authentic self. And it is a threat. Anything individual is a threat to the tribe and the collective energy. Individuals go against the grain. They challenge groupthink. They challenge social norms, just all the things that we continue to go along with because that's how it's done. That's how the group does it or the collective does it. That's not individual, right? That is not the individual. They're not the people who have the herd mentality or feel like they have to be part of the group or the gang or the community. That's just not them. They're going to, again, in this case, going to respond to the correct thing that life is presenting them with, the correct invitation to enter into a struggle, into a fight, and do it, and be the person that's like against all odds. They did it their way. They're not going to give the fight up, they never give up. So it's a really, again, that's a really beautiful energy. to have that and see it for what it is. I mean, like, this is really powerful and really intense. It creates change. And of course, people with this, again, kind of going back to the physical aspect, it's like they're gonna do really well with trying to, exercise, move that energy out and through them. Anything that connects, like the root to spleen is there, that's health related. So, you'd be somebody I'd be like, adrenal fatigue, check that out, and making sure that you're supporting your adrenal glands if you have this energy. Yeah, kind of exercising the stress out of you versus living in that fight or flight state 24/7, and not really fight or flight, fight. Right? This is struggle, fight. It's there. Um, and I always think it's interesting. I don't have any part of this channel, but both my daughter has the full channel, my sister has the full channel. I always mention them with this because they both just have you can just see it. You can just see it. Um, being kind of fearless about a lot of things and truly not afraid to stick their necks out for what they feel is right, even if nobody else is, like, trying to hop in on this. And I always love to point out Martin Luther King Jr. had this channel, right? There's somebody who was, like, willing to give it his all for what he believed in and did. So it's like sometimes looking at people that have it and they're such a great example of it, you're like, "Wow, okay, so that's what that looked like in its high expression." And so, again, people with the full channel, they are built to withstand difficulty. They're just built for it, right? So I'm always like, if I see that in somebody, it's just to let them know, like, you were designed for this. The things that roll right off your back would absolutely take the rest of us out. It's not it's not a punishment, there's a purpose to it, right? And again, what are you struggling for? What have you discovered that what makes life worth living? So when you know that about yourself, like, let this information empower you if you were somebody with one of those gates or this whole channel, like, yes, no, I am so strong. I'm so resilient. Uh, it's incredible. When 28 is by itself, I will note this, it's like it can always be looking for the next thing to give its life meaning, whereas when you have the full channel, those are people that are gonna probably lock on to more like a thing or a cause or a purpose and really hold strong and go the distance on that. Astrologically, this would be a Scorpio and Capricorn sextile aspect, which is harmonious. So again, we've got like earth and water coming together. Those are complementary elements. And then the quarter of the wheel, this is the third quarter of duality, purpose fulfilled through relationships and bonding. So here it's like your relationship to the passage of time, to how much or how little time you have with the people that you love and care about. And then also that mutative, transformative power of love, and the purpose of it and bonding. And then, like I said, love being infinite, infinite energy. Okay. So, do you have this gate in your chart? Left-hand side spleen is going to be pointing down toward in the middle, pointing down toward the root. If it's colored in black, red, or red and black, you have it defined somewhere in your chart. If it's white, you don't have it. You'll be like me experiencing it through the transits for the next approximately 6 days, or you have people in your life, you're going to experience it through someone and you're going to experience it at different times. So it's fascinating. Like for me, I witness it on the daily basis and get to become wise about that energy, and even with my daughter, I was thinking about this. She's so cute. She'll get upset about something. And I'm like, is it really a big deal? You know, like something you can just tell she's like impassioned about it. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, no, like you don't need to worry that much about that. And so, right. So in this case, like that's my job. I'm white here. I'm white in the root. I'm white in the spleen. I'm undefined. It's like I'm supposed to become wise about these things and these energies and really be able to be like, yeah, that is or isn't worth it, because I'm going to take it on and amplify it. That's another story for another day, but just kind of an awareness of how when you're looking at your chart, what these things can mean and how you can experience them. Okay. Of course, I will be back soon with more. If this episode was of value to you, I would love it if you would leave it a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts because it helps it get pushed out to more people and they discover it. And I love that. I want to share it. I'm a 4-1. Like that's my whole point is like to get you all the details and share it with people. So you just be making my heart happy. And if you want to learn more human design, of course, grab the free guide, the $11 master classes, the yoga nidras, more things, more cool stuff coming. Always working on something. And yeah, and that's that, I think. Of course, go follow me on Instagram at Michaela McLean, where I will have more details of how to, tangibly use this information in your life each week. It's always pinned to the top of my feed. And there you go. Of course, until next time, have a beautiful day.